Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Mars making a square opposition or inconjunct aspect to one's natal Mercury. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Mars, this could be about energy, vitality, courage, fortitude, the drive, motivation, anger, initiative, and enterprise. Now, when transit Mars is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Mercury, and I'll elaborate on that. When I say basically adverse aspect, of course, squares and oppositions are adverse aspects in astrology. The inconjunct can be seen as neutral, but it does require an adjustment often, and when you're making a transition or adjustment, it can have some tension. It can be exasperating. So collectively, this is really basically an adverse aspect. Now, when transit Mars again basically makes the adverse aspect to one's natal Mercury, you're talking about the energy could manifest in the energy, the courage, fortitude, drive, motivation, anger, initiative, and enterprise. This may conflict with communications. These two things may not be going, or these things that it could be conflicting with communications are not work. They're obviously could not be, they may not be working, may not have the drive, the motivation to be talking and communicating at this time. It could be where there might be some mental fatigue, or you don't even have you feel like you don't have the energy to even really, or incentive to even call someone at this time. Now, the thing about this too, Mercury is also connected with learning and assimilating information. So it can be the time where that drive and that motivation to do so, may not be there, at this time. Say if the natal Mercury is in Scorpio, it could be, might not have the motivation or drive to learn things connected with insurance or taxes, recycling, transformation, the cult, which includes astrology, matters, psychology, subjects, things, anything would be Scorpio related or going deep into things in general. Now, Mercury is also connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. So it might be the time where, the situation, with siblings, cousins, and or neighbors, they might be a little bit more combative, more acerbic than usual. You might be irritated at them for some reason. There might be, so there might be where the energy maybe is, there might be a conflict with your energy and where you want your actions to go, perhaps in with where what you want to do, the activities you want to be involved with might conflict with maybe siblings, cousins, and neighbors, their requests, what their needs are at this time. It could also be, situation to, Mercury is also connected with short journeys and local transportation. So there might be some irritants going on local transportation. Say if Capricorn is involved, it can be roadblocks or delays or some obstructions that may be transpiring or happening at this time. It can be as well that you might not have the drive, so to speak, the motivation to drive at this time, or there might be some physical injury that might be, prohibiting you from doing so at this time. It could just simply be an energy level. The energy may not be there to do this. Now, anatomically speaking, Mercury is connected with the hands, the arms, the nerves, breathing, lungs, the brain, even eyesight. And it could be a time where these things might, if you have any issues with any of these things, it can be some, situation where it might be more exasperating, it might be causing more irritation or more anger at this time. It might be harder to perform certain activities, say if you have some situation going on with your hands or the arms or just the nerves in general. It might be harder to take, maybe initiative on these matters if there's some issue with these things going on that I described anatomically connected with Mercury, whether it's a monetary situation or what have you, not being able to get to where you need to go to get it taken care of. Um, Mercury is also about analysis as well. So again, going back to the drive and motivation, you might not really feel like going through any analysis at this time. It may be a time too where you don't really, the energy level may be there, may not be there for mental analysis at this point in time. It could be where you haven't, maybe you don't really feel like taking the initiative on this if something needs to be analyzed, like if it's a home remodeling situation, say if there's cancer, zodiac sign Cancer involved, you know, maybe say Mercury, natal Mercury's in Cancer, could be a home situation, family situation you're trying to evaluate, but or even something with food. Those things you might not really have that motivation to be doing right now. Now, Mercury is also connected with the rational mind, rational thinking. So be careful this time. The acrimony, that anger, doesn't play a role in your adversely affect thinking rationally at this point in time. And something where you could be ruminating over something in the past, or there's some anger, something somebody said, was on your mind and you're lamenting over it. It's very important, to think before acting at this time. And because remember, Mars is about action, Mercury is about thinking. You don't want to necessarily act without thinking during this transit, because impulsive actions often, of course, there could be repercussions for it. It might be best to, if you have a major decision to make, to wait, if you can, till the transit ends, maybe before, acting upon it, because the anger might cloud, your logical thinking and judgment at this time. Mercury is also associated with thieves, so it can be a time to just be careful at this time. You're in a bad neighborhood. Mars is about volatility, it's violence. Mercury can be connected with thieves. It could be a violent robbery, or somebody taking something, and there might be violence connected with it. A gun, in some isolated cases, a knife. This is something where you have to be, I would be a little bit more careful, especially if you are, in a neighborhood that is crime-ridden, where the crime is escalating, the crime is at a high level. There's another thing, another way this may manifest as transit. It might be where, again, going back to the motivation and drive, you may not be motivated to really communicate or learn or assimilate information at this time. Say if the natal Mercury is in Aquarius, it might be something where you may not have that drive to talk or, learn about, Aquarius related things such as astrology or astronomy, computers, electronics, new technology. It can be a time too where the situation, going back to the siblings, the cousins, the neighbors, it might be a little bit more contentious than usual. Mars could be about arguments, confrontation, just battling in general, whether it's verbal or what have you. This is something where those situations with those people might be a little bit more acerbic and combative even than usual. Say if Mars is in Leo, maybe there's some neighbors that are very loud and boisterous that are causing some irritation. It can also be in some cases where there may be actions or some accidents that may adversely affect what you have to do as far as short journeys and local transportation goes. Let's say, for example, if the transit Mars is in Pisces, maybe there's a slip on a chemical spill at this time, or something with the chemical, you slip and fall kind of thing at this time. It may be something, say if it's Virgo, transit Mars in Virgo or the 6th house, it might be work-related accident. Something where too, Aquarius could be like an electric shock. Maybe there's, this time as well. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, some cases too, this transit may be expressed in anger, might cause issues with the rational mind, rational thinking, reiterating what I was saying before. Say if the Mars transit Mars is in Cancer, maybe there's anger or acrimony connected with past hurts. It could be lamenting over things somebody did previously. Family-related matters, maybe it's about subsistence or not being able to have a stable home life, as an example. Could also be too now a physical injury, you know, might negatively affect maybe mobility, your communications at this time. Say if the transit Mars is in Capricorn, as an example, there might be some physical injury with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings. That might be affecting, your load. You could even be just walking, a few blocks to the store. Also, Mars is connected with surgery, so in some cases it might be isolated that there might be something surgical that you may have to deal with or contend with. That it could be, with the hands, the arms, the nerves, even brain. In some cases, something with the eyesight. But this would be, isolated. Natal Mercury is in Pisces. It might be something with, blurred vision, maybe double. Well, Gemini may be double vision. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying stay well.